What's up, everybody? James Duggan here with IGN to discuss Fortnite's Endgame mode, and more specifically, Marvel games. Basically, I've really been enjoying the Endgame mode. I'm not a Fortnite guy at all, more of an Apex Legends, Blackout, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds dude, and recently I've had a lot of Battle Royale fatigue, so I haven't really even been playing those titles. But I jump back in for Fortnite's Endgame mode because it is dissimilar to the classic Battle Royale mode. You basically have two teams of 18 players, half of which play as kind of an extended Avengers, half of which play as Chitauri warriors. The Avengers spawn with a map that can guide them to a treasure chest, and in every chest, not just the ones that the map guides you to, you will find kind of a legendary relic of the Marvel Universe. You can find Captain America's shield, which gives you bonus movement speed. You can block with it, you can also throw, and it has tracking, so it's relatively easy to aim. You can find Hawkeye's bow, which is actually super OP, given how there's kind of this stigma around Hawkeye in the cinematic universe. It shoots an explosive arrow, which is, of course, a projectile, so it can be tricky to hit people mid-air, but it is very satisfying when you do so. And the right-click is the real powerful part of the weapon, which is this very, very low cooldown kind of grapple hook that can very quickly traverse you across the map. You can use it as an evasive maneuver tool. It's very powerful. Then we have Thor's axe, Stormbreaker. The primary attack is this arcing smash. You can jump and then kind of leap through the air and deal a big AoE when you land. And then you can throw it at people's faces, and it hurts when that happens. And then finally, we have Iron Man's repulsors, which are probably my least favorite mechanically, but still interesting. They're essentially a jetpack. They give you a lot of aerial mobility, and then you can also shoot with them. But they have a very, very heavy aim assist. I would almost go as far to say auto-aim. It's kind of a tracking, targeted thing. But if you can't aim, you should probably be using something else. And if the enemy can aim, you're kind of screwed. So the Avengers team have to stop the Chitauri team from gathering 6 Infinity Stones, and they do that by killing them. Plain and simple. You have to kill 99, or maybe it's 100 Chitauri. Who's counting? And when you do that, they lose the ability to respawn. You then have to mop up all the remaining Chitauri on the map, and then you win. Conversely, if you're playing as the Chitauri, you have to gather all 6 of the stones, at which point the Avengers respawns get turned off, and it turns into a last man standing sort of deal for them. By default, the Chitauri spawn with a jetpack, this laser assault rifle that is very good, and then this energy grenade launcher that is really useful for clearing out buildings and geometry and stuff like that. If you happen to be the lucky guy that picks up the first stone, you actually turn into Thanos. But if somebody's already turned into Thanos, don't worry, just keep chasing the stones. If you collect one, you're essentially slotted in. When Thanos dies and respawns, you should spawn as him. And then if there's nobody up for that, because the stones are hotly contested, then Thanos can just go to a random Chitauri. I've had it happen to me. Playing as Thanos is just as cool as it was a year ago. You have that charge up jump that kind of annoyingly you have to charge all the way up or else it gives you this wimpy jump. But then you have a ground pound that is super devastating. It one-shots people, and then his death ray, which melts. So this isn't a battle royale in the traditional sense because of course there are respawns, there are 2 teams. It's more of a large-scale, team objective-based game, but it is played on the traditional Fortnite map with a shrinking play space. So why am I talking about this? Well, essentially, if you're a Marvel fan, I feel that Fortnite Endgame is an experience you're going to be unable to get for a very long time after the event ends. And by that, I specifically mean a mechanically competent multiplayer Marvel game. There are a few Marvel games on the horizon, I would argue a disproportionately low amount to the amount of fanfare surrounding Endgame. But almost none of them are multiplayer, and certainly none of them are multiplayer competitive in nature. Insomniac's Spider-Man certainly comes to mind in terms of recent Marvel games that you can play right now and are fantastic. And then in the near future, we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 releasing on July 19th. I think Marvel Ultimate Alliance will be very fun in a cooperative sense, and it will definitely fulfill that ensemble cast desire that this Fortnite Endgame mode kind of made me realize I wanted. But it is a Switch exclusive. If you're more of a competitive PC player, obviously not a lot there for you. We know about Iron Man VR for the PSVR, and while I imagine that will be a relatively brief game, I thought it was still worth mentioning. There are also a handful of mobile titles currently available, like Contest of Champions, Strike Force, Future Fight, and Battle Lines. I've played Strike Force and I've played Battle Lines, and while they're certainly fine games, especially for the mobile space, they're definitely not blowing my mind. And then looking into the distant future, there is potentially another mobile game in the works, and while that statement may be met with apathy, this one has me much more excited than the others because of the talent behind it. Marvel recently partnered with a new development studio called Second Dinner, co-founded by Blizzard's Hamilton Chu and Ben Brode of Hearthstone and Blizzard fame. So I'm curious to see what they cook up, certainly. The only other game that comes to mind, and let me know in the comments if you can think of any that didn't make it into this video, is the Square Enix Avengers, which was announced in January of 2017. It's being developed by Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, and while those are certainly fantastic studios that have had a lot of hits under their belt, their skill set and previous works leads me to believe that this game will probably be single player and narrative in its focus, which is fantastic. I can't wait to play it. But I think when we look ahead to the future of Marvel games that we know are releasing right now, there's certainly a disparity between the massive popularity of the Marvel franchise, and specifically the Avengers, and how many games we're seeing in the same vein, especially considering how well the source material lends itself to the video game medium. So, in conclusion, check out Fortnite Endgame because it's a lot of fun, and I think it's unique, especially if you are a Marvel fan. It's an itch you're going to be unable to scratch after the event ends for who knows how long, is kind of my point here. Let me know what Marvel game you want to see in the comments, and for all things Marvel and Fortnite, keep it right here on IGN.